Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Well, we've got the two-tank veggie system set up. I've been running it a week now on the two tanks. I've just about finished the insulation of the system, so it's almost ready for winter ops. And so what I do in the mornings is I start the truck on diesel and then I run it until the engine temperature hits 150 degrees, and then I turn on the veg system. So it's this switch right down here. Right now it's on diesel, and when the engine warms up, I turn that off and it goes over to the vegetable oil. And then it's running on veg the rest of the day. So right now I can start it on diesel, run it out to the shop, and it stays warm enough to basically run on veg oil all day. And then in the evening I purge it back to diesel again. But it works really good. I've been running, like I said, a week now, and it's run perfect, so no issues. I have spent quite a bit of time installing the system. So I've installed separate fuel lines, coolant lines run from the heater back to the tank and then through an exchanger to heat it, and then all of that is insulated. The switching valves are electric solenoid valves with 3-port valves, and that works really good. I bought the valves from a company called WVO Designs, and they're liquidating all of their inventory. They're going out of business, so I found replacements for the valve body and the valve, so I'll order I'll order a valve just as a backup in case one of these fail. But in order to reduce the on time of the valve, being I run it only on diesel for the first few minutes of the day, and then to purge it in the evenings, I've defaulted it to run on veg oil with the valve off. So that's kind of backwards to how you would normally do it, but it just means that the valve is off and it's on vegetable oil instead of being on. So if that makes sense. In order to expedite the heating, I plug the engine in for half an hour in the mornings before I leave, and then that means I've got a short trip on diesel, and then I flick it over to the veg. System, with it being insulated and everything, it should be able to run all year round. I shouldn't have any issues this winter with fuel gelling or anything like that. So I'll give you a look at it when we get to the shop. So we're almost at 150 degrees, and then I'll just show you what happens when I flick the switch. The engine quits. So right now we're at 150, and then I just turned off the diesel. So that's diesel off now. And other than a slight fluctuation initially of fuel pressure, that's all you can notice. There's no change in the engine tone or anything. So fuel pressure fluctuates just for a minute, and then it runs a little bit higher on the veg until the veg gets really thinned out. So idle pressure is about 5 to 10 psi higher on the vegetable oil. So 10 in the mornings before I warm up the engine, and so there you see it. It's on veg and it runs perfect. So the rest of the day I run on vegetable oil, and then when I come home in the evenings I just switch it back to diesel for the couple of minutes, and then that system's purged. All right, well, we're just arriving at the shop, so what I do now is I put the system back on diesel, and then that washes out all the vegetable oil from the injector and all the lines. So it's running on diesel now. And the only difference you can tell is the idle fuel pressure is lower on diesel by about 5 psi when it's hot. I'll show you that in a second here. Alright, so now we're on diesel. We got 25 psi of idle fuel pressure. Engine's 170, oil's 169. So the engine's totally hot, and the switch is up. That's diesel. And I'm just gonna flick it down here and you'll see the fuel pressure go up. So it's purged the system, it's on veg, so it's 34 psi at idle on veg, and the veg isn't hot, so not really hot. Once it gets really hot, it'll go down to about 30, idle at 30 psi. So now we'll go to vegetable oil again. So now we'll switch up to diesel again, and you see that drop. Then I'll get rid of all the vegetable oil. So there you go. Now 25 on diesel. That's the only difference. Other than that, you can't tell the difference. Other things I did, I installed a fuel gauge for the oil tank, the veg tank, so I know how much fuel's in that tank. And that's about a 20-gallon tank, so I'll go show you that now. All right, well, here's the tank. It's probably around a 20-gallon tank, somewhere around that capacity. So the hot coolant comes in here, goes through a loop, and then back out this side. And the hot return fuel comes in here, and the pickup fuel is on this side here. I may have to insulate that tank for the winter ops. And then this tank here is the 45-gallon tank that feeds this. So right now I just have a gravity feed system, and I'm just kind of experimenting with that right now. It seems to be be working really good. So let me just modify that slightly. So the diesel tank is now a diesel tank again. And this pump, this transfer system is deactivated now, as I'm just trying to use gravity and get rid of another system. So the pipes are all insulated. Got to tie that up a bit better. You can see that's kind of resting down on the emergency brake cable. So everything's all insulated up, and then I'll wrap it with this aluminum foil. But so the fuel comes. So the veg oil goes through my Isuzu heat exchanger here, and that heats the oil. From there to my Raycor filter that's insulated, and then up to the engine bay. This also has a 200-watt heater element in the very bottom, which I'll be hooking up shortly. And in the mornings I'll turn that on. So like I said, I've had it on the road a week and it's working really nice. So there's the switching valves for that. This is the veg side. This is the feed, and that's the return. So there's 3 in and 3 lines in. One for veg, one for diesel, and then the supply line. So it works pretty nice. And then all I've got to do is finish insulating the lines and then tidying up these wires here that I've unhooked. Just bundle them all back up again. There you go, guys. That's a look at the veg system. It works perfect. So we'll see how it performs once it gets colder out. I can already notice the tank is not getting as hot as it was when it was warmer out. So, well, guys, there you have it. That's the waste veggie oil. Just about complete now, and like I say, I got a week of runtime on it, and it works really nice. So we'll just play it by ear and see what happens. But right now I run probably a quart of diesel a day, maybe 2 quarts. I'm not sure, but anyway, I'll fill up the tank here today maybe, and figure out how much fuel I've used for the diesel, and then add up the cost. Thanks for checking in, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care.